I think history says that we, or women I should say, were less vocal, but Hamilton proves that the Schuyler sisters were more vocal, and they were adventurous and independent.
I know that this is something that I keep bringing up, but Angelica rapped, and that was really cool, and it surprised me, and she rapped really good.
I think the one that comes to mind immediately is Angelica, where she's like, next time I see Thomas Jefferson, I'm gonna compel him to put women in the sequel.
Yeah.
Like, that to me, that stands out pretty immediately.
When I meet Thomas Jefferson, I'ma compel him to include women in the sequel. Work! Look around, and how lucky we are to be alive right now. Look around, and how lucky we are to be alive right now. History is happening in Manhattan, and we just happen to be in the greatest city in the world. In the greatest city in the world. 'Cause I've been reading Common Sense by Thomas Paine. So many say that I'm intense, that I'm insane. You want a revolution, I want a revelation. So listen to my declaration. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Open up the gate and equal. Look around, and how lucky we are to be alive right now. History is happening in Manhattan, and we just happen to be in the greatest city in the world. In the greatest city in the world. Angelica, Eliza, and the Schuyler sisters. We're looking for mine at work. Hey, in the greatest city, in the greatest city in the world.
Hi guys, my name is Elizabeth, and I am going to be helping my dear friend Emma with her Hamilton project. And I'm so honored. She sent me a list of questions for me to answer, so I'm gonna just jump right in. The first question was if this is my first intro to Hamilton, and it is not. Hamilton is such a great Broadway show going on right now. It's definitely the talk of the town, so we've definitely had discussions, and my mom is a history teacher, so any questions I had, she answered for me.
Hello, my name is Brittany Hoffman. I have never seen the play Hamilton before, so I am coming to you as a blind subject. I have listened to all the songs that were provided to me by Emma, and I've also watched all the articles that are provided to me by Emma, and am coming to you kind of as an unbiased and kind of unknown member of the project, but I would say that I have learned a lot, and I'm really excited to put in my input.
So we both got into Hamilton around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there are a lot of things that drew us to it as friends and as women, which are very similar to each other because we're the same person. And so
as like a historical event, and
Yeah.
like I feel like we're both somewhat interested in history and
I mean, more so than a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because we're nerds.
Good evening. 7 years ago, a young man came to a poetry jam that Michelle and I held at the White House.
He took the mic and said that he was going to perform a song from something he was working on about the life of somebody who embodies hip-hop, America's first Treasury Secretary.
I confess, we all laughed, but who's laughing now? 7 years later, Hamilton has become not only a smash hit, but a civics lesson our kids can't get enough of. One with fierce, youthful energy. One where rap is the language of revolution, and hip-hop its urgent soundtrack.
It's a musical about the miracle that is America, a place of citizenship where we debate ideas with passion and conviction.
A place of inclusiveness, where we value our boisterous diversity as a great gift.
A place of opportunity where no matter how humble our origins, we can make it if we try.
That's the story of America, an experiment that is not yet finished, a project that belongs to all of us.
Love, love, love this. Powerful women. They're making a name for themselves in Hamilton, just like the women they play. Broadway's biggest hit goes into Sunday's Tony Awards with a record 16 nominations. They include nods for 2 of the 3 actresses who play the Schuyler sisters.
So, I think that line, to include women in the sequel, woke a lot of people up to understanding that women were there, women had a role to play, and even though we don't see a lot of them in our history books, just to start digging a little bit deeper and to realize that they played this huge role that I don't think we realized that they played before. Because I've shared with you, like, I never took the time to think about that.
No.
Like, it was never something that I thought about.
No, it's not something that, like, unless you come across it in a history class, which doesn't
Yeah.
really happen, you don't really think about it.
I never took the time to think about, like, oh, who's Abigail Adams?
Yeah.
Or who's Martha Washington? Like,
Yeah, you always hear their name kind of in pairs. Like, you hear Martha Washington and you think, oh, George Washington. Like, you almost don't think of her as her own individual person. Like, you almost think about them as a pair.
right. Which isn't fair.
No, and even Abigail Adams, like, I just think, oh, wife of John Adams. Like, what did she do? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. I mean, she was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Now, yes.
Yeah.
But like, you know.
Like, in high school, yeah.
She was just wife of John Adams.
Of John Adams.
I'm a feminist.
I've been a female for a very long time now.
Yeah, it would be kind of stupid not to be on my own side.
Is there anything that immediately jumped out at me as being different than the average play about history? I think the obvious answer is that it has a very diverse cast right now. So that's definitely interesting, something that some people do glimpse over. But it is awesome how we live in a culture that is open to diversity and just creating history without having to stay true to the actual narrative.
The first thing that jumped out at me in this play were that there were many women who were very powerful and that were featured as main characters, which I thought was awesome because a lot of people, I think back then, didn't value women like we do now. And also that there were many people of color in the play, that it wasn't typecasted, which I thought was really awesome. I feel like back when Hamilton was like alive in his time, it was definitely more of a man's world, and that it was kind of unheard of for women to have opinions like we do now. And it was really cool that the play let women have their opinions and made them such forces of power and really just let them have the voices that they did. And like I said about typecasting, it was really cool that they didn't do that, because regardless of what you look like, you should get a role if you have talent and if you deserve it. So I really thought that was cool. That's what stuck out to me.
I think it's really cool to see these underrepresented women play these underrepresented women from way long ago. I mean, underrepresented in a very different way, but I just think it's really cool that to have that like kind of lineup. But
yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think you hit it right on the head. Just that these women were and still are completely underrepresented in our media today.
Hello and welcome to your digital Ham for Ham show. We're at the White House and we are in the Vermeer Room, which celebrates the women of the White House. There are portraits of Jackie O, Betty Ford, Eleanor Roosevelt. We thought, what better place to celebrate the women of Hamilton the musical? Here are your Schuyler sisters.
That we see in the play primarily are the Schuyler sisters, who are Elizabeth Schuyler, who becomes Elizabeth Hamilton, and then Angelica Schuyler and Peggy Schuyler. And it's in this great song called The Schuyler Sisters. But I think even then, like Lin-Manuel Miranda is not pulling any punches with these women, because you said that one of your favorite parts is and when I meet Thomas Jefferson, I'm going to compel him to include women in the sequel. Like, right off the bat, we know these women, like, are not messing around.
Yeah.
And really come to have such great story arcs. And especially the whole kind of love triangle between Eliza Hamilton, who was Eliza Schuyler, and then Alexander and Angelica Schuyler. And really that both of them were in love with him, but they also loved each other.
And had such a strong
relationship. And I mean, really much stronger than the love between Angelica and Hamilton. We see that later when he cheats on Eliza, and Angelica's like, I'm not here for you.
I'm here for my sister.
I'm here for my sister. Coming all the way back from England and
to support her.
Console
her.
Yeah.
And I was also surprised that both Angelica and her sister Eliza fell in love with Hamilton. And just at how that whole situation turned out, I feel like in today's day and age, it would have been an all-out, like, family ruiner. Like, I don't think that's how you put it. I think maybe home wrecker situation. I just don't think it would have turned out well in today's day and age, but in their day and age, they, like, didn't fight about it. It was just kind of, like, they cared about themselves, like, their sister. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that they didn't let a guy ruin their relationship as sisters. They just, like, let it go. They cared more about them being family than a guy. I don't think that would have went well in this day and age. That was surprising. That turn of events. It shook me.
So, speaking of the sisterhood that they've created, the Anne sisterhood that they threw in at the Super Bowl when they sang America the Beautiful, which was 2 years ago now. Well, let's stop right there. I mean, to be singing America the Beautiful at the biggest, most watched thing in America and being part of a Broadway cast is basically unheard of.
Yeah.
And then to throw in the and sisterhood instead of just with brotherhood was, I think everyone, like, got on their feet.
And you could hear it. You could hear it in the crowd.
Just that everyone was shocked, but so empowered in that moment.
And all there for it.
Yeah, and I think it really does a nice job of echoing what the play is about as well, because, I mean, obviously that song is from eons ago, not just decades, eons. And to take that normalcy of the and brotherhood that we always hear, and then to throw in this feminine twist to it was incredible. I mean, I felt empowered watching it. And
they didn't try to erase brotherhood. They didn't just say and sisterhood and not mention brotherhood at all. Both were there and equally represented.
Exactly. And that's all we're asking for. Like, we're just asking to have the same rights and opportunities and representation as men. And they did that so beautifully.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, God shed his grace on thee, shed his grace and crown thy good with brotherhood and sisterhood, from sea to shining sea, from the sea to shining sea, to shining sea.
The true republic. Men, their rights and nothing more. Women, their rights and nothing less.
So we've talked about it before that 3 of our favorite songs happen right in succession of each other. And really it's our favorite segment of the play, being Hurricane, which happens right after Hamilton is confronted about this affair that he had for almost a year. And he's freaking out and he's trying to figure out how to get out of it. The Reynolds pamphlet is the answer to that, is he writes this page upon page upon page, I think it's like 70 pages or something about that, about this affair that he has, and publishes it without asking anyone's permission, which is awful. But and like trying to frantically stay with his head above water to get on top of this whole thing, because he was accused of embezzling money, but that's not what he was doing. He was just having an affair. So he writes this pamphlet, and then immediately after is Burn, which is sang by Eliza, and it's her kind of finding out about this pamphlet and her world being shattered, which I think she handles with such grace. So for Hurricane, Reynolds pamphlet, and then Burn, what are 3 key points that make that one of the most powerful sequences in the play?
I mean, I think starting with Hurricane, it mentions Alexander's mother, who passed away while he was still in
the Caribbean.
And it mentions his mother and how much of an influence she had on his life before she passed away, and even though it was so hard for him to move past her death, her impact on his life empowered him to keep moving forward and eventually end up in the new world and make his impact here, and she just kind of drove him there. And then in the Reynolds pamphlet, we mentioned it a little bit before, but the sisterhood relationship after, Angelica and Eliza have both found out about this affair, and Angelica comes all the way across the ocean to support her sister, not to support Hamilton, even though, we know she had such strong feelings for him, such a strong relationship. She was by her sister's side, and like you said, like, I'm not here for you, I'm here for her. And I think that just shows, like, that strong female-sister relationship, and just knowing, like, okay, I'm standing behind my sister, like, you've done this wrong thing to her, and I'm standing behind her.
Right.
And then, in Burn, Eliza's reaction to it, she mentions, like, you brought this girl into our bed, and it's really cool to see her not throw accusations at Mariah Reynolds, not to rip her apart, doesn't call her names, doesn't, to be very respectful to her and only put the blame on Hamilton and on Alexander.
Like, you knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
You published the letters she wrote you. You told the whole world how you brought this girl into our bed. In clearing your name, you have ruined our lives.
This wasn't, I don't care what the situation was. Like, you brought this girl into, like, because Mariah Reynolds was, like, 23 at the time this happened. So, and, I mean, they were in, like, their 30s. So, I mean, it's a little, like, he definitely took advantage of her. And Eliza doesn't pull, like, you're absolutely right. Like, she's not pulling any punches. She's like, you brought this girl to our home, like, while I was away. Like, that's awful. You're terrible.
And even earlier, before Hurricane, Mariah Reynolds herself, she's like, I didn't know any better.
Right.
Like, or maybe that wasn't it, but
that is it.
Like, she was young. She didn't know any better, and Eliza doesn't put the blame.
If the soul of the nation is to be saved, then you must become its soul.
Was there anything that made me feel empowered? I definitely do. Seeing all these amazing actresses and what they can do is awesome. Seeing how the Schuyler sisters jumped out and wanted to be a part of the world and to see what was going on with the revolution is awesome. Being an only child, I do know that I have a more independent streak to me. I love to explore. I love to be able to do things on my own. And knowing that it's not just the time, but that girls felt this way before is awesome, because we are definitely making strides to being more equal.
So, I haven't seen the play, but as someone who has, is there anything on stage as the cast is performing that we might miss in the cast recording that really kind of shows the women's roles, and what would you say?
That's really interesting because I've seen it twice. I didn't take in as much the first time, but the second time, it really struck me that these women who are like in the ensemble more so, and the dancers are dressed exactly the same as the men. They're doing the same dance moves. They're fighting in this war scene, and it's just equality, like across the board.
The bullets have your gun. The bullets have your gun. We move undercover and we move as one. Through the night we have one shot to live another day. We cannot let a stray gunshot give us away. We will fight up close, seize the moment and stay in it. It's either that or meet the business end of a bayonet. The code word is Rochambeau. Diggy. Rochambeau. You have your orders now. Go, man, go.
One of my other favorite moments of this play is just in Blow Us All Away, which is about Eliza's and Alexander's son, is that he's looking for this guy, and in the song he like runs into these two women, and he was like, y'all look pretty good in your frocks. How about when I get back we all strip down to our socks? And it's just like, first of all, the fact that he's asking, like, how about when I get back?
It was a question, not a question. We're gonna do this. And the fact that like in the play, even in the recording of like in the cast album, you hear both of these women being like, okay, which is so incredible. Like, you're hearing consent. Very clear consent.
Yeah, and very clear, like, asking if it's okay, and not just assuming anything. But even that line, like, I think y'all look pretty good in your frocks, is probably the most sexualized women get it all in this play. And it's that he's simply, like, commenting that they look good.
Yeah.
Ladies, I'm looking for Mr. George Eaker. Made a speech last week, our 4th of July speaker. He disparaged my father's legacy in front of a crowd. I can't have that. I'm making my father proud.
I saw him dressed up Broadway a couple of blocks. He was going to see a play.
Well, I go visit his box. You're a fox. And y'all look pretty good in your frocks. How about when I get back, we all strip down to our socks? Blow us all away.
Do you think these characters are written differently than most female characters? I would have to say yes and no. Yes, because in the world of entertainment, you want your characters to be different. You want them to reach the audience. But at the same time, I don't think they did, because they wanted to stay true to what history is about. And I do think women before wanted equality, but with time and everything like that, I think it just wasn't their time, and this is showing that there were steps being done in the past to get to where we are today.
I think that they were written slightly different, just in the way that they had to kind of mimic what they were like back in like the 17 and 1800s when Hamilton was alive, but also in the way that they had to do things that are more relevant to this time period now. Like, I think that's one of the reasons why this play became so iconic, is because, yes, it talked about the things that happened back then, but it also made it appealing to people now because it made the woman powerful. It added really catchy songs. It made it appealing. It wrote it in a way that people wanted to listen, and it was really cool. And I think that the women were really written in this play to make a statement and show just how powerful they really were and how big their voices were. So I think that was really cool. I do think that they were written slightly different, but like I said, just because they're basically in 2 different time periods. But I think they did it really well.
It's really well written, but what's beautiful is that he doesn't pander. Lynn doesn't think this is what women do, or this is what an audience could handle. Do you know what I'm saying? He just wrote. And thank God he did that, because then our job as an artist is to live up to something.
As much as we are trying to live up to it, that it lives up to us. Like, as living, breathing women of this century. You know, what does that mean? What kind of material can we really sink our teeth into?
Or that can define us even.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's such a great diagram of the thought process of a brilliant woman. And the cool thing about it is that's not a woman from 2016. Do you know what I mean? I don't know that we thought that these women that we're portraying thought in the way that as revolutionary as we think we are. And we know that they did now, and that's empowering to all women of all time, I think.
Lock up your libraries if you like, but there is no gate, no lock, no bolt that you can set upon the freedom of my mind.
We live in a world where we can truly be who we want to be, and I think that's the best thing about Hamilton as well, is just seeing that just because Philippa was Asian doesn't mean she couldn't portray Eliza. And being able to do that gives hope to everyone, seeing that she is using her gifts and her talents, and she is just amazing. Like I said, I don't really know how to explain
Who run the world, girls? Who run the world, girls? Who run the world, girls? Girls!
My opinion of the female characters in this play are that they are awesome. I think that they are super talented and outspoken, and I think that they were perfect for the roles that they were given. I don't think I could picture anyone else having the roles that they have. I think that they're definitely powerful, and that the things that they say and the things that they sing are all powerful and very, very amazing. And that they should all definitely be proud of the message that they're spreading, and that it's great, that it's really awesome to see women being like that.
One of the most poignant moments in the Broadway hit musical Hamilton comes when Hamilton's widow Eliza sings that her proudest accomplishment was starting the first private orphanage in New York City in memory of her husband, who was himself an orphan. 211 years later, Eliza Hamilton's proudest achievement lives on as the orphanage she co-founded has evolved into a family and youth development institution called Graham Windham that serves over 4,500 local New York City kids and families each year, providing them with family counseling, after-school academic support, and other educational, health, and social services.
Knowing, like, that the only reason we know anything about him is because of Eliza and how much she gathered of his writings and like standing up to his haters basically.
Yeah, because the last song in the play is all about how she preserved his legacy, how she told his story, how all of that we know came about.
Right. So I think that's why the play is so different. Is yes, it is Alexander's story, but it's because of Eliza's story. And it's almost turned around at the end, that it's really about, the play is really about her, not necessarily about all of Hamilton's winnings
and
or
accomplishments. Yeah, because she's also in it pretty much from start to finish. She's introduced pretty early on. There's a little section where she erases herself from the narrative, but then
I'm erasing myself from the narrative. Let future historians wonder how Eliza reacted when you broke her heart. You have torn it all apart, I'm watching it burn. Watching it the world has no right to my heart. The world has no place in our bed. They don't get to know what I said. I'm burning the memories, burning the letters that might have redeemed you. You
but then she comes back in, and then
Right.
she tells basically the rest of the story, and
Right. And having seen it, which I know you haven't, it's I think the most powerful moment on stage is the very end of the musical, and it's just like her listing off these accomplishments that not that Hamilton's done, but like her accomplishments. And I mean, I am a crier, so I'm obviously bawling at all moments, but that that is like just, I feel like there's not a dry eye in that theater, because it's this woman who you see, she's like, I'm done, and then not because he asks her to, or because she's forced back into this narrative. She decides that she's gonna do it, and she does it.
she picks up the pieces and moves on. And
Yeah, I stop wasting time on tears. I
Yeah.
live another 50 years. Like that's crazy.
Think
And, like,
about that.
To dedicate your life to that, and especially in that time period, to be a single woman. I mean, taking care of 7 kids, and your husband left you in debt.
Yeah.
A little bit. Ugh.
Yeah.
Like, to build yourself back up from that, and to be someone that everyone loved and adored.
Lawrence leads a soldier's chorus on the other side. My son is on the other side. He's with my mother on the other side. Washington is watching from the other side. Teach me how to say goodbye. Rise up, rise up, rise up, and rise up.
And then the last moment, the snag that keeps him from going there is Eliza, because he leaves her behind with a lot. And then he does it anyway. He points his gun up at the sky in that final moment.
My love, take your time. I'll see you on the other side.
I put myself back in the narrative. I stop wasting time on tears. I live another 50 years. It's not enough. I interview every soldier who fought by your side. She tells our story. I try to make sense of your thousands of pages of writings. You really do write, but you're running out of time. I rely on Angelica. While she's alive, we tell your story. She is buried in Trinity Church near you. When I needed her most, she was right on time. And I'm still not through. I ask myself, what would you do if you had more time? The Lord in his kindness, he gives me what you always wanted. He gives me more time. I raise funds in D.C. for the Washington Monument.
She tells my story.
I speak out against slavery. You could have done so much more if you only had time. And when my time is up, have I done enough? Will they tell your story? Oh, can I show you what I'm proudest of? The orphanage. I established the first private orphanage in New York City. The orphanage. I helped raise hundreds of children. I get to see them growing up. The orphanage. In their eyes I see you, Alexander. I see you every time. And when my time is up, have I done enough? Will they tell your story? Oh, I can't wait to see you again. It's only a matter of time. Will they tell your story? Who lives, who dies, who tells your story? Will they tell your story? Who lives, who dies, who tells your story?
Feminist thinking teaches us all, especially, how to love justice and freedom in ways that foster and affirm life.